I'm gonna
I, Robert Campbell, Merchant of Sydney, do commission you, Captain Frederick Hasselborough, of the brig Perseverance, to certain islands on the coast of New Zealand or elsewhere, for the purpose of procuring oil, sealskins, or other animals or substances, the produce of the seas or islands.
Listen. My fortune.
What do we have, Captain?
We have land, Mr. Murray.
Hey folks, level up your project with May's free marketplace content. Beat the grind with an advanced RPG system and an endless runner creator. Branch out into new terrain with a stylized tropical environment and a realistic foliage pack. And then strike a final pose with help from over 600 animations, free until the end of the month. And make questing a breeze with the latest addition to our permanently free collection. Download them all on the marketplace today. Brains are what you'll need to defend yourself against a horde of hangry zombies in Night of the Dead. We caught up with Epic Mega Grant recipient and two-person team Jackdo Studios to learn more about their thrilling new multiplayer survival experience. Read the interview to learn more about their approach to fusing strategy, crafting, and survival. Are you ready to hone your animation skills? Then join us for the Unreal Online Learning and 11-Second Club 30-Day Character Animation Challenge. Your task? Create an animated short using one of the 50 free and ready-made metahumans, and you could win a Dell Precision Mobile Workstation, Unreal Engine swag, and other awesome prizes. Catch the full contest details on the feed. Have you ever wondered what goes into creating games as a service? In our interview, the teams at First Watch Games and Hi-Res Studios dive into the design of maps, characters, modes, and more for the popular free-to-play, team-based shooter Rogue Company, and offer tips on building a player-driven, multiplayer experience. And now over to our rock stars of Answer Hub. Many thanks to our top weekly karma earners, Every Nun, Clockwork Ocean, Mad Turtle G. Geenan, Rough House Games, Luna Nellis, Ugmo, Kahel18, Mind Surfer Dev, Chure, and Sand Vampire. Over to this week's Spotlights. Assume the role of an intrepid scavenger in the narrative-driven puzzle platformer Sky Beneath from Mindhaven Games. Embark on an adventure with your inventor friend Annie, take control of gravity, and solve challenging puzzles in a mysterious sci-fi setting. You can wishlist Sky Beneath now on Steam. This absolutely gorgeous animated short was created by Han Yang to stress test the metahuman workflow. Make sure to visit their Artstation page to learn more about their setup and follow along the development of their upcoming short film. And join a team of alien fleas in Flea Madness, a fast-paced game of maddening multiplayer melee mayhem. Choose your species, customize your abilities, and then hunt, eat, and squash your friends and frenemies in team play, or Flea for All, where there can only flee one. Releasing in November, you can wishlist the Epic Mega Grant recipient on Steam now. Thanks for watching this week's News and Community Spotlight. Hey everyone, and welcome to Inside Unreal, a weekly show where we learn, explore, and celebrate everything Unreal. I'm your host this week, Amanda Shade. Not Victor Broden. He's unfortunately not feeling super great today, so please send him all the love and well wishes on a speedy recovery. But the show must go on, and we're going to have a great time hanging out and talking about Quixel Mixer today. So our guests are Jonathan Holmes, the community support lead for Quixel, and Juan Pablo Mardones, the creative director at Leyenda. So, Jonathan, you want to tell everyone a little about what you do here at Quixel? Now I just said it. Quixel/Epic, otherwise known as Quepic.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. As you guys know, my name's Jonathan. I've been the community manager / support lead for Quixel for quite a few years now. Started back in late 2014 as a volunteer, moved up to a full-time position, and then have been running things on the support side ever since, along with the community aspect. So if you've ever interacted with Quixel's public presence, you've probably talked to me at some point in the past. I'm usually one of the most responsive people in the company. If you ever need something, just write to me, and I'll try to see what I can do to help you out. Yeah, and hey Juan, let's see what you got too, buddy.
Okay, I'm Juan Pablo Mardones, and I'm the CEO and founder of Leyenda Producciones, which is a company located in Santiago, Chile. I'm doing a lot of things, wearing a lot of hats, modeling, lighting, texturing, and also directing. Quixel has become a major tool for me and very important part of my life. So I'm really glad to be here, to be sharing with the community.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining us. So before we dive in, we have, for those of you that may not be as familiar with Mixer, we have a little video that should give you an overview of the product.
I think we're having some technical difficulties here on Amanda's side. So let's give her a moment or two to reconnect. But in the meantime, that was a pretty cool video, man. While we wait, I just wanted to say that Mixer has made such a massive improvement over the course of its development. It went from being essentially a surface generating tool into a full texturing suite that you can make entire models in now. It's phenomenal how much improvement has been done to it in the amount of time we've been developing it. But it's still a work in progress. So we're definitely doing what we can to continue improving it. I can see that we are all talking in chat, so we'll get to you guys as soon as we can. We do plan to have a Q&A session towards the end. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna try to kind of ad lib some of this while we wait for Amanda to come back. Sometimes internet is a little strange. I think she's at HQ here with us, and it's a little cloudy outside, so we might have had a power outage nearby that might have caused some problems. But yeah, hey Juan, why don't you go ahead and get started on your demo, bud?
Okay. First, I'm gonna tell a bit about the story of how I got involved with Mixer. I started using the software in 2019 when it was only a 2D generation, surface generation software. And well, the first thing I did was, of course, mud with water, and that was, I guess, what everyone did the first time. And then I started creating terrains because I thought, if I change the scale is relative to one's position. So if I just change the scale and I start creating terrains inside Mixer, maybe I can play with images in my mind that I have always dreamed about creating. So I started publishing this, and this was the first time, as a matter of fact, that I was publishing something inside the Facebook group. And people got interested in this type of work because it was pretty much, I was showing a snapshot from Mixer, like a sort of rendering inside Mixer, not rendering outside, and showing how Mixer and using the Megascans materials and surfaces could be used for several types of things, from landscapes and whatnot. In this case, I'm creating a Mars landscape with Mixer. So I kind of became a bit known inside the community for doing weird stuff. I created the Quixel base in the Arctic and whatnot, and also started creating even cars inside Mixer. It was not a 3D software, but I was doing this inside Mixer, just with a subtraction, addition, and some shapes. So I really became very familiar with the software, and one of the things that struck me the most, it was so easy to learn, and being easy, it was so inviting. So I became absolutely nuts with the software. Started posting tutorials in the group in Facebook, and I think I posted 50 tutorials in a span of 2 months. And after that, I was invited to become a beta tester for Mixel when the plan was to create a software that painted 3D models. And of course, I accepted it because it was a huge honor. And we started working with a one texture set version of Mixer. And it's been 2 years. Right, Jonathan? You were the first one to pick me up.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the details of that, but back in my former life when we were just Quixel, not part of Epic, I was part of the sales team, and it was great to be able to bring you guys on board. You've been amazing with this tool, man. I mean, there are people who are passionate about Mixer, and then there are people like you. Well, no, rather, there's a person like you who is you yourself, who is just you bring the term fanatic to a different level entirely. You are very unique and very talented, and the work that you do with this tool is mind-blowing. I mean, it's incredible that somebody has I need to stop saying that you have taken this tool and you continue to push us in its development to new levels and heights. I mean, Juan, dude, thanks for doing what you do, man. And it's really great to have you on the stream demoing the work that you've done with it.
Okay, man. Thank you. Let's move forward. The thing is, I've been developing things with Mixer for a long time, and I want to share a few things that may be interesting for the audience. I created with my team a short last year for the Machines challenge, and the challenge had like 1 month to create everything, and we have to use some assets from the Machines. He gave some assets, a soldier, and some houses and whatnot. So that was the perfect opportunity to start reskinning things. So, for instance, this was the asset that he gave us, and I start adding dirt to the soldiers, and then the face adding dirt to the faces, and trying things inside Mixer. And then I even painted the IDs to change the colors inside Mixer. So finally, what I did was I pretty much changed everything. I added a new helmet, glasses, changed everything. Changed completely the weapon, texture the weapon inside Mixer. Was a pretty cool experience and pretty good learning experience, as I was able to share this with the community. And also showing in videos what I was doing and what I was learning. So finally, in the end, we created this short. I'm just going to highlight some parts of this, because the most interesting thing is that we had no experience with a Unreal Engine. This was the first time we were doing something in Unreal Engine. I only had some experience in Mixer. I felt confident with that. But we aimed very high for final pixel in Unreal Engine. The CG shots are completely final pixel. The work was really, really stressing, because we didn't know what we were doing. We had to learn how to import animation, and the most terrible thing was the shot that was made by my friend Dylan. He was not able to make the vibe work. So finally we had to track 5 minutes of a camera by hand. And that was super, super stressful. I would say that the Unreal Engine part was so enjoyable. And we finally rendered the short in like 1 day. Because the render was so fast. Now with the new render queue, we want to go back and render this again, because we know we can do a better job now that that there's a new tool set to render this. So I'm just gonna show a little part where the scorpion is, or the character of the scorpion. This guy is like, he's reduced, or he's shrinked into a sort of alternate reality. And he realizes that he's no longer big, like he's small, so he is in front of the school bones and everything. So the thing is, I textured the bird, the fly, and this guy that is coming here. So pretty challenging project that we made.
How beneficial do you feel like, this is a little aside from Mixer explicitly, but participating in contests and things like that? Periodically we run game jams and stuff for folks to try out new skills. Do you think something like these kinds of shorts are invaluable in kind of picking up and just running with new tools and platforms?
Yes, I think doing working in or trying to participate in contests is absolutely the best way to learn, because having a deadline, a gun pointing to your head, is one of the best things to stress you or to get you out of your comfort zone. So at least for us, for this particular project, it was 1 month. Okay, we made it very long, so but that's our fault. If I guess we learned so much with it, and we tested Mixer very, very extensively with it. So after that, I started working with a game company called Sunspear Games, with a game Immortal, which is also made in Unreal Engine. But I was I'm in charge of the game cinematics with my company Leyenda, and I started working with in the first cinematic for them, and this was in 2020. So Mixer was not able to work with multiple texture sets yet, and I was able to create this character, but with 30 mixes. So I was texturing part by part with smart materials, importing, and especially I was modeling one part, creating a smart material, and then importing the rest of the parts of the bronze parts and just applying a smart material. So I would say that the modeling and the prepping was the time, the longest time I have to work on this. But texturing, I did it like super fast, because I was able to recycle my bronze and my sort of battle damage in very easily. So I could create this character with its trained 30 parts from scratch. Now the next cinematic we're going to create for Immortal is going to be 100% Mixer, like this one, but also it's going to be rendered in Unreal Engine, like the short I just showed you guys. Some questions, or shall I continue?
Sure. They're actually wondering, like, they love all the stuff you're showing off. Is your Artstation the best place to check out a lot of the work that you've been doing?
Yes.
Any other?
Yes. No, not yet. I'm a boomer, so I don't use social media. My wife is always barking at me because I don't use social media. It's I don't know. I need to start doing it. But the thing is, I've been concentrated on the work so much, in especially in Mixer and with my company, that I'm not really out there like showing off outside the channels, outside the Facebook and outside this particular channel. So I guess this stream is going to give us a bit of exposure. And my biggest interest is that people try Mixer and the adoption of the software, because the software is free, and this is one of the most important things. The Megascans ecosystem is free. The Unreal Engine ecosystem, they are interconnected really well. The ecosystem covers everything from Mixer, Bridge, and then to Unreal. So being free and also being easy to use, and also fun, which is the most, I think the most important part for me, was that this software had what I call a zero learning curve, which is something that is not usual, that you sit in front of a software and you can start doing cool stuff in one day. these things that I was showing you guys, this was my second mix. My first one was the puddle with mud, and the second was this. So like in 1 week I was doing, or 2 weeks I was doing things like this. So when a software is out of the way, it's not a barrier for you to learn, your creativity explodes. That's why I'm so I'm such a fanatic or a fanboy with a mixer. It's because it really sort of cleared my mind and allowed me to do something I really wanted to do. I always wanted to do surfacing and texturing, but I didn't want to learn any software. But I felt like, oh man, I'm over 40 at this point. I don't want. It's hard, and that was a story I was telling. I was telling this story to myself. You can't learn this because you're over 40. It's a stupid thing, but I was doing that. But when I faced Mixer, it was like I can learn anything because this thing is showing me that this is easy. It's super well thought. The UI and the UX, they are great. And there's a lot of effort that the Quixel people and the dev team put into simplifying things to make it work under the hood. So I would like to go and show you this character that this was the sort of biggest character I developed for the Mixer tool, because we were testing the multiple texture support for this particular feature or release, right? So in this character, I was testing the gloves, which were 1 texture set, the helmet, which had 4 texture sets, the shoes or the boots, which had 3, and the suit, which had 9, and the backpack had 5. So of course, this sums 22 texture sets. It's a lot. I didn't want to make my computer explode because you must realize that you're working with scan data here, so it's still, there's a lot of textures being loaded in your GPU. So I have a RTX 2080 Ti, but I was aware that I didn't want to strangle my system, so I worked in parts.
Hey Juan.
Mm-hmm.
2 things. How many texture sets did you say that was?
22 in
Good
total.
Lord, that's incredible, and it ran pretty fluidly too, huh?
But I'm going to show you guys the suit, which has 9, and well, this is the renders I made. And something very important here is that it is a tip, because when you're setting up your character, you may want to start improvising in Mixer, and you may want to drop a lot of the smart materials in there, but you will clog your graphics card, and you will make your computer explode. And that would happen if you drop a lot of textures, whatever. So the thing is, what I did here is I planned my texturing inside my DCC, which was Maya in this case. I decided, okay, this is the color pattern I'm going to work with. Then I created my textures, my texture sets, in this case, the IDs and everything inside Maya, and then I went into Maya. After I this is a file I'm going to show you. I'm going to tumble around a bit, and then I'm going to do something really special. I'm going to texture something from scratch. So the cool thing is you can version your characters in Mixer, having a great time. And this is the fun part, when you see your character going from this, which, okay, this looks okay, the colors are good. When you see your character and the details come to life, the scratches and everything being photoreal, and your effort or your effort feel effortless, you feel so happy. So well, this was the character I showcased as a battle stress test for the software, and the character is right here. We have the Mixer UI here. You can see, I'm going to explain this a bit better while I'm doing the complete sort of workflow with one small robot. But this guy has all these things called texture sets. And these are the layer sets. And these on the other side are the texture sets. So this guy has 9 texture sets, and all these are layer sets. And this is the model. Then I exported this to my friend here, Bridge. This is the model exported into Bridge, and with one click, you export this into Unreal Engine. So you have here a scene where I've been compiling in the last 2 days the models that I've been working with Mixer to test and prove that the exporter works really nice. So in here you have the complete model. I can tumble around and do whatever. And also, since the Mixer exports a material which is compatible with or standardized, you kind of get the same type of material that you get with any Megascans asset. So if you're accustomed to modifying Megascans assets or Megascans textures, you can do that as well here.
Bro, those critters look like something out of Stephen King's The Mist.
Yeah, this one is Reskin. And also, remember the scorpion of the short? Yesterday, I was thinking, hey, I should reskin the scorpion with a sort of cybernetic look or something like that, and export it to show how it looks inside Unreal. So here it is.
Yeah, he looks great.
So the thing is, not only for environment, you can do you can create your characters. So what I want to do now, guys, is well, since I showed that everything is looking good here, I want to reskin this guy inside Mixer, and I guess people will want to ask questions. So I'm going to clean up the scene first. So I'm going to tell him I want a new mix. And
while you're doing that,
say it.
Did have a question earlier that I wanted to address.
Yes. Tell me.
We get a frequent amount of questions regarding this. The subject is usually whether or not Mixer is going to support baking. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with baking, texture baking, it's when you take a high poly model, project that to a low poly model for use within game engines. Currently, we don't have plans to do this. We all know that, we're very aware that you guys want this. It's something we'd like to add if we can. But right now we're focused on other problems that we think that could be a little bit more important. There's plenty of free alternatives out there for texture baking, and we would recommend that you use them. If you'd like to work with Mixer, one of those would be XNormal off the top of my head. It's completely free and it's still very much used in the industry. Other paid solutions would be something like Toolbag 4, for example, or Toolbag 3. Those work pretty well too. But if you want to stick with entirely free, XNormal is pretty much the way to go.
Yes, there's solutions for baking. You can do it also in Blender. I use Marmoset Toolbag because it's GPU based, so I'm very impatient. So I need to do that fast. But yeah, there's tools to do that. And once you have your model and you have your bakes. Okay, so I cleaned it up, and I'm gonna open now. I'm gonna open this inside Unreal, and I'm gonna show you guys very quickly something that is going. This is going to be fast, but it's not the robot. I think this is something that people forget. It's the reskin of a Megascans asset. This is one of the very powerful things you can do. If you have, for instance, rocks, you have hundreds of rocks inside Megascans, but you can reskin your rocks in a way that maybe you can create a stylized look or change completely the environment. So I prepared a little scene. I think there's also a free scene in the sample pack where they did something, but I prepared one for you to see. I'm not going to export it, but this is the asset. It's called Granite Rock 2x2. And if you see this, you maybe you want to change the textures, right? So this is the result of the textures after I changed them. So how I did this. First, I added a solid with a mask just to enhance the edges. Then this guy, which is in multiply, so I get a bit more crevices. And then some moss using probably a normal. I guess the normal is what I used. And then just the last layer with a bit of normal in a different direction. And finally, I get a completely different look. And you can export this to the library and then to Unreal Engine. So this is one of the uses that I guess people forget that they can do this. It's super easy to do it. And you can do it with absolutely everything inside the Megascans library.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We should also have some content on our YouTube channel that demonstrates how to take existing 3D assets from the Megascans library and give them the retexturing job treatment, including stylization too. I think we have a tutorial or something similar to that effect from Jack McKelvey that you guys would totally be interested in.
Yes, you can stylize the textures, the same textures that Mixer have, or create your own inside Mixer. I made a stream with you, Jonathan, last year, I think, where I covered a lot of ground with stylization.
Oh yes.
So it's something that it's very recurrent, and people are asking all the time about it. So now we're loading this little guy. This guy, he's going to come with some textures, I guess. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to delete them. I'm going to show you how I texture it using the prepared bakes or materials that they're not materials. They're the bakes that are already loaded, and also the IDs. So this is our character or robot. It has 2 UDiMs. So I'm gonna clean up the scene and start from scratch. I can't delete a texture set, so I'm gonna say, for instance, empty or just TS.
Are you gonna show an awesome smart material?
Yes.
Ooh.
Of course.
See that.
Of course. So okay, let's go with a setup first. I already imported my base maps, but I want to say something that is really important regarding the UI and finally the UX in Mixer. Mixer is divided in a sort of 3-stage workflow, and this has to do with how the interface is laid out. The first thing you do is setup, and setting up a scene, meaning loading your geometry and loading your base maps. And once you're done, you close, and that means you're not longer worried about your setup. So that means that the interface is not showing you everything you can do all the time. Then you have your texturing space, which is this one. You have your layer sets and your layers. I'm going to work in those in a minute. And once we're ready, you have your export tab, where you have the options to export. So Mixer is 1, 2, 3. Setup, texture, export. And that's why the interface is so clean and so easy to use. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to work with this model. I have, as I told you, there's 2. This is a UDiM model, as a matter of fact. It has 2 UDiMs. And I'm going to just drop one solid, which is the most basic texture inside or material inside Quixel Mixer. And look at this. This texture set at this point is targeting only one UDiM or one target texture set. So now I'm going to target both of them, and I'm going to change this a bit. The roughness is going to be tighter, so it's like a bit of a plastic. And this is the first thing you may do, or you may want to see, and wow, this is your model as you exported it from your DCC with the bakes. Now you want to do something cool with it, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to say this is the head. and the head is 1001. And I'm going to create a new layer set, which is legs. It's going to be legs. And just for the sake of it, I'm going to create a different color. Legs is 1002. So now I know that where are my objects, right? And also I can look at them here. This is a very nice way to focus on things. For instance, I'm going to hide the second UDIM so I can concentrate on the head, or I can do exactly the opposite and concentrate only on the legs. And also we have this sort of telescopic sight where you can concentrate on the texture sets themselves. In this case, I'm concentrating on the legs, as you can see, if I press this one. And if I click the layer set targeting the head, I'm going to be concentrating on this one. So I'm going to leave it as it is now. And in the head, I'm going to go to the library. And I'm going to search for a smart material. Old dusty thermoplastic is very good. Smart material. Check this out, guys. 434 smart materials. I think I made around 30 for the pilot, 30 custom materials myself, but Quixel already provided almost 400 smart materials. Smart materials are a sort of master class of Mixer themselves. Once you load them, you will see how the system works. I'm going to search for the dusty plastic material. Old. I'm going to put dusty here. Dusty PVC green. Let's try this. Now Mixer is loading. It's loading a sort of mix itself. It has a lot of textures from the Megascans library, and also each one has a mask stack.
Yeah, that's because each one of these smart materials was made by hand in-house by a team of artists that we've kind of tasked on working on that. So they're some of the best materials you can get out there, as far as I'm concerned. Speaking personally, the amount of dedication these guys put into making these things look fantastic is, like, pardon the pun, but it's just unreal. I mean, I love it.
Look at this. I'm going to change the color of the legs because I think I'm ruining this.
Yeah, they don't quite match, do they?
Yeah, because they don't match. So this is a smart material as it comes, this dusty PVC plastic green. And I need something for the eyes. So I'm just going to go and go shopping to the library. And I'm going to put scratched. And this could be an option, a scratched plastic. So I'm going to use IDs for this to mask, because the Mixer, one thing that Mixer is a super masker. So we are going to use masks and IDs to isolate and show how we can attach or assign materials to certain parts in this model. Okay, now everything is going to become black, right? So I have this smart material, and I'm going to add an ID with the letter I, or pressing here, and with Q and pressing here, I assign this to the eyes, and that was pretty simple. Now I'm going to play around with I'm going to add a few smart materials to the legs. I'm going to select this solid, going to the smart materials, and I'm going to go for pilot. And I'm going to add one of my favorite smart materials, which I made myself. And I love it because it uses only one source. Quixel smart materials, they are way more complex. They have, I don't know, usually 6 or 7 sources. And with this particular one, I was trying to do something with just one source, only one texture, and the rest should be procedural. And as you can see here, this is the result. There's a sort of volume between the paint and the metal. I can completely change that if I want to. I'm going to select this guy, which is the paint, and I'm going to touch the height a bit, or even say 1, so that the paint is completely flat on the surface. So let's play around a bit with a head, what we can do with the head. All right, so first we should figure out what's happening here and what we can do. So to do that, what I usually do is deactivate all the layers until I see what's in the base. And in the base, I have this plastic. And as you can see, this is a scanned plastic. You can see that this plastic has some roughness mapped directly to the plastic. And the first thing I can check with this is how it is applied to the model. This is applied with using a box projection. And if I change this slider on the right, I can change the orientation or the scale of it if I want to. For instance, if I want these little scratches to be smaller, I'm going to change this to 0.5, and they are going to repeat a bit more. Now, I think this, if I want to create something like a sort of camouflaged robot, this color will not be cutting it. So I'm going to change it.
I think that really depends on your environment. What if he's a C-bot?
Of course. As a matter of fact, that reminds me when I told the Quixel team that I was going to develop a Mars camouflage. Victor Oman said something like, "Yeah, for Mars forests." So it was no, Victor. How do you know? I go to Mars every day. I created this one for sort of Mars environment. But okay, let's go back to the robot. Okay, we have a green here. Let's leave it at that. And I'm going to change also the roughness of this material. So this is to prove you guys that you don't need to stick to the smart materials as they come. You can use them exactly as you want. So let's see now.
They make a really good base to work from too. In a lot of ways, I would recommend doing that, Juan. Sorry to interrupt you on that one. It's just smart materials should be used as a base. I mean, you can use them as is, obviously, but to get the most out of them, it's probably recommended that you kind of deep dive into all the different mixer settings and adjustments that you can make to really personalize them and make them your own.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, all the materials I use for my pilot were started as smart materials from the library. Also, the character from the Immortal game. I usually don't start from scratch. The only material I started from scratch is the one I have on the legs, because I wanted to challenge myself. But the smart materials are so invaluable that and you can learn so much from them. Because if you go here, for instance, in the edgeware, you will, if you press 9, you will see how the mask is being affected here. So I'm going to turn off all the things here, and you have edges in this case. And this is using the default curvature that Mixer calculates. So I'm going to change this to from underlying mix to base curvature map. So now it's going to be using this. Now it's breaking something with the texture which being projected, and then adding some details, and then a gradient remap which acts like a sort of levels. So if I push the curve, I'm going to see how the mask looks in a moment. If I press 2, I'm going to go into albedo. And since the color of this edgeware is so close to this one, we can't really see the difference. And also it's set to overlay. So I'm going to change this. And now you will start seeing the results. I'm going to apply it. Go to PBR metalness mode, and I can see now the result. Now let's check the scratches. What are they? Oh, those are great. These are affecting pretty much the roughness of the model. So I'm going to leave them as they are. And I think this guy should be a bit darker. Something like this. And then we have dust. And this dust, very cool. We're going to check the mask that generates the dust. Pressing 9 again, we can check in how it's made. So we have first these cavities, which are being read from the complete mix. And we had some top normals. These ones are being added. Then the mask is broken, projected, and we have some detail mask. So I think I'm gonna make some changes in the break. I'm gonna change the frequency of this. I'm gonna change it a bit. So I have a bit more dirt on top of this guy. And if we want the dirt to be really popping, maybe we should make the robot darker.
Could even add a little bit of normal depth to it too, so it pops right off.
Yes, let me check the normals, how they are at this moment. So I'm going to select the dust surface. I think it was not a very good idea to change the octaves or the frequency. Yeah, this is better. And let me see. We have the displacement and the normals. So if I turn off the displacement, nothing happens because the model has not displacement activated. And if I deactivate the normals, you will see on top of the head here, I'm going to get closer so you can see it. I'm going to activate the normals again. You can see the normals acting on top of this. So maybe we can force them a bit. So strength, what happens if I push 2? So normals are going to be a bit stronger. Like
what if you were to take the displacement channel and drive that a little higher so that the entire dirt layer kind of popped off, including where the mask is?
It's already at 2. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some posterized node, which is a node that is criminal. But if you put this in 2 or 3 steps and reduce the opacity, you get a more natural look with this. So what else can we do? So we have a dirt layer in here, and this dirt layer is very, very subtle. So I'm going to check why. Yes, as you can see, the object looks pretty black. So that means no, the mask is not allowing pretty much anything to go through. So we are going to check why. First, we can check if the opacity is in 1, and then we can check why this is so dark. So I'm going to turn off everything. So we have the dirt mask. If I turn it on, you will see immediately the result. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to turn it on. So how this thing is built, we have this texture, which is broken by a noise. Okay. This is in multiply. Maybe we can say no overlay, right? And then top normals. Top normals are in multiply, so they are sort of subtracting, and then cavities. And what I want to do here is I'm going to create a thing called position gradient. This is what I wanted. And I'm going to set this one to overlay. So I'm going to push black a bit. So all this event is pretty much happening on top. So I can turn my dust now, and I have all my dirt accumulated on top of the model, as you can see here. Pretty cool, right?
Working
Okay,
your
so
magic.
yeah, the thing is, it's easy once you understand the basics of smart materials. We can try a different one from the local library. I'm going to check with this one, the Pilot Camo Chipped Metal, which is one of mine also. It's going to take a moment to load.
So while we're waiting for that to load, we have gotten a couple questions about the same topic, being, can we import materials made in other software to Mixer? And the answer is absolutely yes, but you can't bring in smart materials authored in other programs, because the best way to describe it is they're not going to be talking the same language. So you'd have to eyeball them in Mixer to recreate them. But the base texture maps that you can export from other tools can be brought into Mixer, and you can work with them, and you can export them from Mixer anywhere you pretty much want to take them to.
Yeah, that's right. You should. The other thing that you can do is, it's something that I usually do a lot, is I'm on the hunt all the time for things that I may need or I may find in Artstation. Artstation has a great marketplace, and you can find a lot of. I don't know what happened there. Let's give it a moment to load. I think he failed. No active subscription. Mixer is telling me we don't know you.
Sounds like a glitch in the Matrix.
How could they not know you?
Yeah, no, you're not with us. Go away. So I say okay. I hope he recovers from this one. And well, I use a lot of alphas generated in I don't know, in ZBrush or because you don't have to create everything on your own. I'm also always on the hunt for models, for kit bashes. In this case, this model is completely done by me, but you see, Mixer loaded. So we are going to fix this in a moment. You can work with a lot of alpha channels and alphas and also repeat them. So this looks a bit better than what the thing I had. So I'm going to delete the dusty thing that we were doing earlier, and I'm going to do something really interesting. This smart material has two folders in it. It has the camo and it has the weathering. But the problem is the weathering, which I'm going to turn off now, it's not affecting all the model. I want the weathering to affect all the modeling. So what I'm going to do is, having this layer selected, or this folder selected, I'm going to move this layer set to, I need a new layer set. And this one is going to be called weather. Okay. So the weathering is going to go to weather. And I'm going to make it affect both target texture sets. Let's give it a moment and figure out what is going on with this little alert that we have here. Really, one texture is not being connected. Yes. So that was a bad idea. I'm going to move it back.
They're stressing out because you haven't saved.
Yeah, probably.
You like to live dangerous, don't you, Juan?
Okay.
You got to ride that anxiety high.
Yeah, no pressure. Okay, so I'm going to check what is being missing here. This one, detail mask. I think I deleted something by accident and I broke it. Not totally my fault.
We just got a question about the max res that Mixer supports for textures, and that would be 8192 or 8K, but it's highly recommended that you work in 4K max currently.
Yes. I usually work in 2K because you have the best response in 2K. In the previous version, I worked in 4K, but that was only when you were working on flat surfaces. But in this case now, I prefer to work in 2K, and only when I'm about to export, I change things to 4K. Now, if I'm working on Unreal Engine, then I try to export the textures in 2K because I don't want to destroy the graphics card. So, okay, so now I replicated the camo, the Swedish camo, the M90 camo.
Splinter camouflage.
Yeah, I kind of love this camo, so that's why I made it. Mixer has its own camo based on geometry, on a very simple geometry, but I kind of like this one, maybe because I made it. So now we are going to add some dirt to this. So I'm going to just add a solid on top of everything. And I'm going to add, I think we should do this on top of everything here on the weather, as I was trying to show you guys earlier. Okay, so this is the weathering is targeting both texture sets. So let me see, head is 1, this one is 2. Somehow it's giving me a little issue here, but I'm gonna fix it in a second. Ah, all right, I know what.
Do you know what it was?
Yeah, I was putting everything inside the ice. And the ice are maxed, so that's why. So I'm gonna add a bit of dirt on top of this, and to do that, I'm gonna create a position gradient and work my way out in mask mode. So I have this, and then I'm going to add a texture map, and it's going to be a base map, and it's going to be an ambient occlusion. And in this case, I'm gonna see how it goes if I multiply this. So what I can do now is increase the contrast of this and check it out. So I would see that my gray thing is affecting only the things that are coming from above, which would make sense if we were working in a sort of dust layer, right? But I need to break it a bit. So I'm gonna break it. To do that, I'm gonna bring in a texture map, and this is going to be a library asset. And I'm going to search for imperfections. Oh, I'm in smart materials, that's why. Imperfections. And let's try, for instance, these stains. So let's give it a moment to load. Okay, it loaded. So now I'm going to say, let's use overlay with this one. So it fills these gaps, and I'm going to project from above with Alt, which means clipping on top of this one. And I'm going to say box projection 0.5. What I want now is a bit more contrast in the texture I loaded. And let's see what happens if I invert it. Very interesting look here. So let's check the albedo. And of course, this dirt shouldn't be this color. So we are going to add darker color, some dirt here. And also, well, this is pretty rough. So as you can see, if I move the light with a shift button and the right mouse button, you can see how a light affects the different channels. In case you want to see, for instance, what is going on with the metalness, you press 3 and there's the metalness. You press 5 and there's the normal. 6, the displacement. And this is the roughness, which is in 4. So you're able to see that where it's completely white, this is completely rough, and where it's black, it's more shiny. So as you can see here, that was black, and it's more shiny now. I'm going to turn off some layers here.
So Juan, while you work on that, we had a question, actually a couple. Number one was, are normals created in Mixer, or do they need to be brought in on the import, like when you bring in your low poly? And generally speaking, speaking as someone who works with the software quite often, if you're working with a low poly model and you do have normals, you need to bring them in. You're not going to be able to author normal maps in the traditional high to low baking sense in Mixer. However, it will load normal maps that you've provided to it, and you can also create normals on the fly. Additionally, we also have a question regarding, what was it? How do you figure out which layer to put where? And I think you should probably answer that because you're the one who's showing it off.
Yeah, give me a second. I'm going to add Rust. I think the best solution or the best approach is to start slower than I did, because I started dropping smart materials so the live stream doesn't go like for a complete day. But usually when I start things, I'm gonna show you right now. I'm gonna collapse this and leave it completely without anything, any weathering, anything. I work with solids, only solids and masking, and then what you can do is you can give me a second. I just need to make sure that everything is off here. Weathering is off, layer is off, head is off. Give me a second. These are the eyes. I'm going to change them. Well, this is important. I guess this addresses the question. First thing first, and I'm forgetting about my number one name things. Eyes, because I had the name of the smart material and I was getting kind of lost. So I know now that the eyes are those, and this guy is completely separated, and that's why I was completely losing it. These are the stains. So one recommendation would be to name your things while you work. And this is, for instance, this is the pilot chip metal. So this is going to be the head. And I have this rusty metal here, which is interacting now with a normal map and the curvature. So that looks pretty good. But we may change the color, or we may think, okay, this looks good, but I don't like. I want to sort of use a part of it, but not everything. So what if we say, for instance, let's multiply it. Of course, it's going to look black, completely black, because the base is black. I'm going to multiply it. It's going to look dark, as I said. And then let's change the base color. And let's try something completely weird. Something like this. We can keep that. And the stains now, I know where they are because I named them, right? And now I can say, hey man, this could be dust or dirt. That would be nice, right? So what I can do now, look at this mask stack that I have here. Let's call this an investment. I already made my investment in this layer, right? But I would like to have a texture there. So I'm gonna go for a surface and let's type in dirt. And what do we have here? Or dust. Dusty concrete. Look at this. Amazing. Or even this one. Metal dust. So look at this. I'm going to steal from myself. As I said earlier, Mixer is a super masker. So if you create a mask in Mixer, you will be able to use it in a lot of different ways with surfaces, meaning Megascans, scans, or solids. In my case, I was working with this one, which is a solid, which is the easiest and fastest way to test masks. But now I'm going to steal this mask. So I'm going to copy mask tag, and I'm going to paste it here. Paste mask tag. And now I can turn this off. So you can see now that instead of using the solid, I'm using the scan. And now we can check the scan placement. For instance, if these blobs are too big, we can go to the box, to the projection of the scan here and say, okay, I want this to be 0.5. So it repeats more, and it doesn't show tiles because this is an exaplanar projection. But you can see there that looks great. If I go to 0.2, even better. And as you can see, we've been layering things on top of this with some effort. So I don't know if I answered the question.
I think what you're saying is that a natural progression mimicking how these surfaces work in real life is probably the best way to approach it, such as having a base layer of metal, which you would then apply paint to like you would in real life. And then as that surface ages over time, you would see dirt, paint wear, and other imperfections start to accumulate as the surface continues to age. It's probably
Absolutely.
the best way to, yeah.
Absolutely. You remind me something, which is super important. There's channels of people that work with real models, like scale models, tanks and everything. And there is one, I think it's called Night Shift. And I saw his videos where he was polishing the tank and painting the primer with gray, and then applying layers. And I started using exactly the same techniques as him, but in Mixer. So finally I got great results, because absolutely it has to be like that. You have to create you have to know what if there's metal first, if there's painting first, later, and then if there's dust. So in this case, we have a metal, we have some paint, and we have some dust. And we would like to have the dust covering the eyes of this thing, right? Because the eyes at this point, they are completely clean. So how to do this? I think it's pretty simple, I hope. I think I'm going to move this up. And now the eyes are covered. So in a way,
I have this urge to clean this thing off so bad.
Just start making virtual videos of you cleaning like digitally dusty items.
We cleaned it. We cleaned it.
Oh, okay, thank you. My OCD. It's God, no, it's back.
Okay, I'm gonna do something that you may like.
I'm just gonna make a game for you to just like methodically.
Look at this. This is Jonathan cleaning up as he progresses.
Yeah, that's much better. I like that.
Yeah, this is much better, right?
Well, it's good to see that all these different stacks work so well in real time too. I mean, you're working with how many layer sets here, and it's still really fluid?
I don't know. I think I have maybe 20 layers, and we can check how many materials we have in the asset manager. The asset manager is going to open and is going to show me all the assets that I have here. This is a very useful window. So we have this rust that I'm not sure I'm using now. You can delete things that you're not using, but you can check also your imperfections. And if you check the name, he's going to show you where they are. alt click. I don't remember. I never used this, but you can see everything here. You can see the matte IDs, the bakes, the textures, the scans, everything. So that window is really, really powerful.
Is there a way to easily group like all the assets or materials or textures rather that you're not using and just sort of remove anything unused all at once, or is it a step-by-step process?
For now, it's a step-by-step process, but I requested that. I requested that to the devs, and I hope they can indulge me.
Mixer is an ever-going work in progress. I'm sure we'll continue updating it.
Yes, absolutely. So I think the color pattern is a bit dull. So if you have an art director, maybe you want to maybe he wants to change or she wants to change something.
I'm the art director. You're going to make it purple.
Purple, roger that. So let's go to the base color. Look at this, man. I made this with the multiply. So making it purple, I guess, is going to be kind of hard, but
no excuses. Just make it happen.
I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to create a solid, make it purple, darker.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I want to see.
All right. On this one, I want the metalness not to show. I want the roughness not to show. And I want the albedo as an overlay. And let's see what happens. Oh, because everything is very dark here.
That actually looks really cool in that grayscale style that you had there.
Yeah, that it kind of looks cool.
Well, it's got hints of purple in it too. It's not like it's just all gray.
Yeah, you're right. You can. This is something that I usually do a lot, like working in modes. If you're trying to texture things all the time, like this, you sometimes you get lost because you're seeing all the channels, metalness, roughness, and color at the same time. So sometimes you want to work in albedo mode and say, all right, I'm just concentrating on the color. I want to do something special here. Let's see if this is multiply. What happens if I change this color and make it more saturated?
So we've got a question coming in. I want to answer real fast if we could.
Yes.
So we want to know whether whether we're actually looking into adding a painting toolkit to Mixer to improve it further. And while it does have the ability to real-time paint right now, we've been investigating what we would think that could make the 3D experience and painting even better. And currently, it's just one of those really big requests, right? We want to continually improve this. Everybody wants us to do it. But right now, to pull it off to the level that we're looking to get it to, we need to change our priorities a bit. And that might not really benefit you guys in the long term. So we're not really going to focus on painting right now, but we do want to look at it in the future. So keep an eye out. I'm sure we'll address it in future updates.
Yes. But you can stamp things. I'm gonna just stamp the Quixel logo here. Let me see. I'm using a solid with a quick mask. So I guess I'm going to stamp a big Quixel logo here. There you go. And now I can play around with this guy.
Looking good.
This is a Quixel logo, and we have the sunburn on top. So if I want to, I could scratch this guy a bit. So I'm going to paint on top of him with some decay. It's not that I want to touch my beloved Quixel people, but I'm going to scratch.
Think about what you're doing here.
Oh man.
No.
Look at this. I made a mistake. I have to use the black value.
No, don't do it. Oh, it actually looks really good. Yeah, you keep doing that.
Yeah. Trust me, man. All right. I'm going to do something else now. I want to add a gradient to this. So this is the logo, right? So I'm going to add another color, and I'm going to clip this one. And this one is going to be this color. And this color, I hope I can put a the position gradient in this one. And I'm going to work in mask mode because it helps. Let's give it a moment. And now I know that if I move my gradient down and I stretch it a bit and move it up, my Q was not that big, so I think my gradient should be a bit tighter. If I press 1, I'm going to be able to see the result. There you have it. So using clipping masks allow you to create gradients and whatnot. And also we may need, or we may want to change the appearance of this. So let's say, for instance, that this we don't want this Q to be completely rough, so we want it to be more shiny. And even more, we want it to be. Let's try that this is metallic. So I did it on the lower layer, right? So instead of doing it on the clipped one, what I can do is just keep the color and turn off the ones that I'm not using. So with that, I have this sort of metal decal of the Q on top of the model. What do you think? So you can paint some things. It's not the complete focus, but you can paint things. You can use the procedural masks. There's a lot of ways to do things. I would say that instead of using the paint, the add paint layer, I use that a lot until I saw Josh Power's video, the last one, where he did exactly this same thing, a painted mask into a solid, and it was like, man, if I knew that before, I completely forgot about that, and it saved me a lot of time, and because it's way less resource intensive. So, any other questions regarding the?
Now that you have this fine-looking Quixel bot, they're curious of bringing that back into Unreal Engine. So for some of the folks that may not have seen that previously, how do they make the leap?
Well, the leap is done using the export. I think that may take a little while, so I'm not sure if we should do that. Maybe we can try while
we answer some other questions.
Yes, I think so. So I'm gonna save first. I'm gonna save the mix. Saving the mix. Yeah, let's save this one as let's imagine that this is the purple. I'm sorry, man.
But if you had crashed, you would have lost everything. How dare you save?
No, one thing that is very nice is that Mixer saves the file. Every time you save the file, it saves once with every asset that you included the custom sources in a folder. But after that, if you're going to save the file again, then it saves all the files again. But if you continue saving without adding things, the save is super fast. So I'm not sure that I really like the metallic thing, so I'm going to change it a bit. Going to change the base. Let's say that this is not really metallic because the Q was not being so present.
I gotta say, I love this comment I just read that not saving is hardcore mode.
Yeah.
You either get to the end or you don't.
Been there, done that. Yeah, so I'm going to say it again. And this is, as you can see, is going to be a fast save. And the other thing that may help a bit is that I change the flat background to the gradient or to the skybox, because now everybody can see what I did, because what a dull robot. It's kind of black, man. I really like to work with colors, but this time I had to do it black.
He's just low-key with a pop of color.
Yeah. So to export, usually if you're in, this is the usual window as you get it from Mixer. But in this case, what I'm going to do is set this to the library. And the library has already a preset for which is aligned to Megascans. This is how Megascans works. So this is everything he's going to export. And what I need to do here is droid demo. And I'm going to add a category, and it's going to be droid. And I need to cross my fingers and export to the library. So we may answer some questions while this guy exports, because he's going to export the maps, and also he's going to export the geometry.
Cool. We actually do have one question. Wanted to know if, actually, it just scrolled up and I totally missed it. But the question was basically, do we have any learning content for Mixer? And we absolutely do. We've been making it for well over a year now on the Quixel YouTube channel, which I'm sure will be linked in live chat. It is comprehensive. There's tons of tutorials from different people, from Victor Ullman to Josh Powers to, heck, I think there's even something I put up there at one point. So we're always adding more content and always adding more tutorials. And it's definitely something you guys want to keep watch on, because we are always adding as much as we can so you guys can get up to speed as quickly as you can.
Yeah, one of the great things about the tutorials is that they are edited, and so all the decision making is they are super well scripted. Every time Josh releases a tutorial, I have to congratulate him, because it's like I'm not an expert in Mixer. I feel like the more I know, I think that the less I know. But with all of his tutorials, I learned something new. And I watched. One of the things people ask me is, how do you know, or how do you learn? And I usually learn making mistakes, but also I really love to look at basic tutorials, the 1 to 3 tutorials. I watch all tutorials. For instance, to learn ZBrush, I watched the tutorials like how to open a scene, how to. The biggest learning exercise for me is watching basics, because when you get sort of used to things, you kind of forgot the basics. Something like Josh was showing the other day, painting a mask on a solid layer is something I didn't use for a year, because I was trying to make things maybe more complicated. So, okay, I think he exported. Let's go to our friend Bridge, and here we have the droid. And let's see. Okay, we have the droid, and I'm going to tell him, would you be so kind to export him to Unreal Engine, please? So I hope Unreal. Multiple meshes. Yes, I want my multiple meshes, sir. And once that gray window opens, it means we're good.
And that brings all the materials and
everything is connected. Everything is connected. So give it
Perfect.
3, 2, 1, window.
And that comes through with
3,
our
2,
Bridge
1.
plugin too, if I'm not mistaken.
There
Say
you
that
go.
again.
Juan, that should come through with our Bridge plugin as well, shouldn't it?
Droid demo. Yeah, the bridge. Oh man, sorry. Stupid. There you have it. I was dragging the folder inside Unreal Engine. So here we have our little pal. And let's see. I'm going to get closer. And one thing I like to do here is I like to stress a bit more some materials. For instance, the metalness. For instance, I'm going to go in this guy. And in the metallic controls, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to push this further. Save it. And the metalness is coming through better. I'm going to do that again with this other guy. Metalness.
While you're doing that, we did get a question about bringing in, I would assume, material IDs in the Mixer. And that's really simple. You just load up the texture map that you generated for your IDs inside of the, I believe it's the asset import window inside of Mixer. It's maybe a 10-second process. Should be really easy.
Yeah, one thing that is really important, and I made this mistake, so I'm gonna share it. You can in the setup name your UDiMs, which is pretty logical. If you're in this one, if you're seeing a list, I'm working now in a I need to show you this, guys. I'm working in this. This is my window where I work developing things. This is like the progress and the notes and everything. It's pretty massive, and I'm working in a crocodile now, and you will see. Look at the amount of UDiMs there. It's 18 UDiMs.
Good lord.
So, yeah, but I know that I can do this. Mixer can handle this. The thing is, which one is what? So the thing is, I had to name them, and it's not an effort, and Mixer really helps you with that. So if you...
As a Florida man, seeing a gator makes me smile.
Excellent.
It's a piece of home.
All right.
Yes, it is.
In this case, I would name if we're talking about the croc, we would name the pieces. But if you export the UDiMs with the name, Bridge will get confused and export the textures also with the names, breaking the connection with the virtual textures inside Unreal. So once you're working with UDiMs, and if you name things, just make sure that in the setup you delete this. If I say, for instance, head, and also this one, legs. If I export this, I will break the connection. I know the devs are working on this to sort of bypass it, because I discovered this like yesterday or the day before by accident. So if you name your UDiMs, just delete the names like this before exporting to Bridge. And if you do that, Bridge will do its job perfectly, and it will send your model to Unreal Engine perfectly.
Good little tidbit there.
Yeah. What else? What else, guys? Do we have more time?
Yeah, so they're wondering, so does Bridge retain all the weight maps and bones? So if they export an FBX into Mixer, then to Bridge, then to Unreal, does all that data stay with it?
That's a great question. Mixer only works with geometry that with geometry. It's not a rigging. It doesn't have any rig. The character, it doesn't have any rig here. But I guess if I rig this guy in style, for instance, in Maya, and I export it as a skeletal mesh, I just can drag the materials on top of him, and he will be ready. So the thing is, you can use Mixer, and what I'm taking advantage here is Bridge creating the network for me in Unreal Engine. I'm not an expert in Unreal Engine, but this is the coolest. If you go into this guy and check the materials are using the Megascans master material, which is a beautiful sight to see all the connections. But if I bring this guy as an FBX and just drag the materials on top of him, then I will have my skeletal mesh with all the materials already connected.
Another thing to mention too on this subject is that Mixer is not exactly a final destination for these assets that you're going to bring in. It's kind of a waypoint. So if you bring in an FBX to Mixer, it doesn't really process that mesh in the sense that it's going to make adjustments to it. You can export that mesh from Mixer, but if you're working with skeletal animations and anything else that you don't want to be broken, it's probably best just to take the original file that you loaded at Mixer to begin with and then put that into Unreal. That way you don't really have to worry about it.
All right.
Yep. I'm opening a new file while people make questions or ask things. I may answer them while doing something else. I think I'm going to drop some materials on top of this if they have any questions.
I think we're getting ready to wrap it up, but yeah.
Well, they had a couple. So I did want to ask, they're curious about an artist community around Mixer. So those folks that are generating assets and things out of it. Is there a community or a great place for folks that are interested to gather with either get inspired by or learn from others?
Oh,
in the
yeah,
community?
absolutely. We have two different places that I recommend going to. First and foremost is the Quixel art community on Facebook. If you're a Facebook member, it's a great place to go. It's an easy place to visit. It's just facebook.com/groups/Quixel Tools Group, all one
Drop
word.
that link in.
Mm-hmm. And if you're not a Facebook user, you can always visit us on Discord. The link was dropped in chat earlier, but we can always pop it in there again. And Discord's pretty active. There's a work in progress place you can chat with, show off your work. Plenty of people will interact with you and help you out. I'm in there every single day chatting with users. So if you guys got stuff to show off, I have eyes to look at it.
Awesome.
Also, I don't recall that you said something about the Facebook community. I guess you did, but I'm a boomer, so I forgot.
I did mention it, yes.
Yeah. The Facebook community is absolutely great. Absolutely great. All the time, there's people that want to help you. So even me, if I'm there and I can help, I helped a lot of people, even creating scenes or creating videos, especially for them. So this is one of the great things about Quixel. And this is a sort of a declaration of love, because this company, the community really loves this company, and you can see how loyal the community is with Quixel. I got fascinated with Quixel when I saw a video of Teddy and Wakar walking around like with a scan or something like that. Like, I don't know how many years ago. I got fascinated by them. But the community is absolutely great.
I mean, I'm a little biased because I've been running this community for like 6 years, but man, you guys are pretty awesome. It's a real privilege to be able to work with you guys on a daily basis and see all the stuff you make. And and people like you come out of this community, Juan, which is, the fact that you're here having this stream with us shows that we really do care about you guys. And please engage, show off the work that you do. We want to see it. Don't be shy. Anytime we can help you out, we totally will.
Yeah, and post on social media and in Facebook. It's the best way to get advice, or if you don't know how to do something, just ask. We will help you. And we're listening all the time. Jonathan is listening, even me. I'm listening.
Aw. What a great ecosystem, you guys.
Well, I said it for years before this, but Quixel was and still is a company that only succeeds when you guys succeed. So we always want to do our best to make sure that you guys are happy.
Love it. Let's see. Do we want to do a couple? We have a couple of more questions, and maybe we answer them kind of at a high level. So they're wondering. So they work with a lot of terrains, and would you recommend using Mixer for like flow map erosion and things like that?
I don't think Mixer is designed for that currently, but you can make terrains in it. You've seen some of the work that Juan's created. If you check out his Artstation, you'll see full terrains he's built inside of Mixer.
Yeah, they're
you
awesome.
Could even use, oh yeah, absolutely. You could even use the displacement maps that you kick out of Mixer as a terrain map that you could then load into Unreal.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. You can create you can mask things, and you can. As a matter of fact, when I was doing these terrains and in creating these terrains in Unreal, in Mixer, I was in reality what I was dreaming is like ending with this type of thing inside Unreal Engine. At that point, I didn't I knew anything about Unreal Engine, but I know that I can sort of prototype something without risking too much inside Mixer, and then go into Unreal Engine and replicate it. And Mixer, it's not only a texturing tool, guys. For me, or at least for me, you can see it as a prototyping tool, as a creative prototyping tool. If you create you can create materials, terrains, characters. It's, I don't know. It makes you happy.
It does everything, man.
Look at this. Look at how easy I dropped old couch leather, into my shoe here. And this is a smart material. It landed perfectly. If I change the colors and start tweaking it, or if I want to, I can create my own smart material. To do that, just right-click, export as smart material. If you change it, and then you can duplicate the amount of smart materials you have.
So comfy. Kind of on a similar note, they're wondering if you have a layer set up, can you save that and then like apply it to another file? So their example was they have a bunch of orcs and they want to reskin them slightly differently. And some have horns, some have scars, etc. So could you use that same layer set and apply it?
As a matter of fact, I did that with this guy. I created I think I started with the feet. I think I started with this part, with my smart material, and instead of saving the smart material and then bringing it, what I did was I saved the file, for instance, feet, and then I imported a different FBX, changed the base maps, and simply allowed the system to allow the stack to work its magic, and boom, you have it really easy. Maybe there are some limitations. Probably you will lose your if you painted some masks, you may lose them because they are based on UVs. But that's how I made this complete character. Out of one piece, I created the 30 mixes. So I recycled myself and I cheated, and it was easy.
You worked efficiently.
Yeah, well, I worked. I created. I would say 2 smart materials. It was this leather, this sort of, I call it battle leather, and it's based on one of the leathers from the library, and this bronze, which is based on rust or copper thing. So if you look at this and think, oh, that's awesome. Hey, man, what's awesome is it's already in there in the library and it's free. So come on, guys, hump in.
Yeah, it's definitely not cheating to use what exists out there. I mean, any more than it's like cheating to use Photoshop to paint than it is to use like a canvas and brush, or if you go back in time and like it's cheating to use a canvas and brush versus like chalk on a rock wall when we were cavemen. So you use the tools that are available to you, and it's like if you don't do that, you're going to get left behind in the digital dust.
Yeah, and the thing is, the more time you put on this, the better you will become. This is exactly as learning to drive a car. At first, you are going to be like, the car is going to be stopping and whatnot. But if the learning zero learning curve is pretty much if you grab a magnifier and go into magnifier mode, you will learn, and in the second day you will be twice or 3 times as better than you were the first day, and that's why it's so enjoyable, because you really feel that you are learning so fast.
Oh, so somebody was asking, you had the rad decal. Can you export those decals as transparent mask textures to create a decal material in UE?
Yes. There is a way to export decals, to export masks, as a matter of fact. So let's grab something just for the sake of it. I'm gonna say, for instance, let's say that this is the mask I want to export. If I go to the layer, there's a tiny thing called custom export channels here, and if you open it, you can tell him send it to a custom mask channel export or something like that. So I'm going to add a channel. I'm going to say hello and save it. So now this thing is saved. And if I look into the custom export channels, we have him already there, being sort of prepared to be launched. And to export that, you need to do that on the advanced setup. I think there is a tutorial to do that, but I think you go in here, you add a new one, you add a map, And let's say that this one is, I think it's grayscale, and the value is hello. And there you go. Hello. And enter. And now he's going to export the albedo, the RMO, which I already set up normal, and my hello, and my texture. And then I can import that texture and continue texturing. That's exactly how I made this particular guy. This little creature here was textured using I was testing the export mask feature. So I created a file only with masking, with special masks. I exported them and then imported them. And you wonder, why did you do that? Because the masks were files, just files. But where they were procedural, I would say they're not heavy. But if you're importing just an image, it's just an image. It's very easy. So if this was a decal or whatever, you can do it. And also you can flatten mixes. I usually don't do that because those are the things that I always forget. But you can flatten a mix and sort of continue from there.
That's completely non-destructive too, isn't it?
Absolutely. One of the cool things is that it's non-destructive. You can go back. You can save versions. Even better, you can use the layer sets to save versions. For instance, the Scorpion, the realistic one, and the other one are on the same mix file. If we go to the Artstation and go to this one, you will see that we have the clean one and we have the dirty one, and they are on the same mix. The dirt is just in the different layer set. So I just can export my dirty one, my clean one, my cyborg one, my cyborg with dirt from one mix. So it makes very efficient to know exactly where you have your things. You don't get lost. You're not thinking, where the hell did I leave the dirt? No, you have your complete character inside there.
What would you say the advantage is if you're flattening it, if that's totally non-destructible? I feel like a lot of times that's to like get rid of data and streamline that asset. What are the scenarios in which you feel like it would be advantageous to use it versus not?
I think that's a very good point. As a matter of fact, one of the things I do in Mixer is I sort of microsculpt in Mixer. If you look at the pants of this guy, all these wrinkles are not sculpted in ZBrush. They are done in Mixer. They are procedural. I imported, I don't know, I remember I bought an alpha collection made in Marvelous Designer, I think, and I imported that as a procedural, repeated, scattered it, and use it to add detail to the model. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I was afraid of ruining the model inside ZBrush. I didn't want to ruin the model, like if I add a noise or I sculpt every detail in ZBrush. That is destructive. You will be able to export your normal map, your displacement, and it's going to look great. But what if the art director or someone says, "Hey, get rid of the wrinkles"? It's like, So I use ZBrush until a certain point, and then I know Mixer will cover me. So I do all the microsculpting, meaning this texture, this hex texture, the repeating patterns, the wrinkles, all those. The damage is all done in Mixer because it's non-procedural. Sorry, it's procedural and it's not destructive. If the art director tells you, "Hey, let's drop this," you turn it off. No, I like it back. Turn it on. That it's as simple as that.
Awesome. Let's see. I feel like we've gotten. Let's see. Somebody noted that they are asking if you have any tips to work with displacement, or just overall guidance or best practices you're willing to share.
Yeah, well, displacement is embedded in Mixer. All right, I have displacement here, so let me show you just a second. For instance, all these files that, let me filter this to Quixel Mixer. All these files, until this became 3D, were using displacement. So the car, the hills, everything was using displacement. So the quality of the displacement mixer export is really good. If you use a 32-bit EXR or a 32-bit TIFF, it's going to be great. Maybe it's not the best to use this inside Unreal. I'm not an expert in displacement in Unreal, but if you want to use the displacement, all these renders have displacement, and the displacement, if you look at it, well, in this case, it's a bit out of focus, but it's pretty good. And the Mixer has an experimental feature which gives awesome displacement to normals. So I think that if, for instance, if you create a terrain, you shouldn't use load the displacement in the displacement. You should use it as a solid. I think I explained that several times in my videos in the Facebook group. So if you join the Facebook group and search for the tutorials hashtag there, you will find, as you can see, it's going to be me doing, look at it, doing stupid things like creating hard surfaces based on terrains and the wrinkleizer. It's the thing I was telling you about is like, hey, I want to create wrinkles, but I don't want to sculpt them. All right, let's bring in some alpha, repeat it, and then it even moves. Great. So you can find this. These are a bit old because they are 2019, but they are sort of, they are 2-minute, 5-minute videos, but you can find a lot of things here that you can learn, crazy things.
And the concepts and all that will still apply. So
yes, absolutely. Because
the fundamentals,
the fundamentals. Mixer added things, has not changed. So now it's a 3D painting or a 3D texturing application, but yeah, you can export your displacements and you can use them. And there's the experimental feature which will generate normals for you, but it's still experimental. So what else?
About that. On a more philosophical standpoint, you have all these beautiful terrains in your portfolio. Were those inspired by real world landscapes? Is that how you assemble some of them? Do you feel like that's a great place for folks to start, or do you just start throwing stuff together and live your best life?
It's so funny that you ask this, because some of these images are generated from things that are completely different. I don't remember if I posted the image of this one, but this was a paint, a piece of art I found in Pinterest, sort of watercolor of just watercolor, not of a terrain, a watercolor. And I grabbed that watercolor, converted to 32-bit, treated it through a application that does terrains, and then imported that into Mixer to texture it, and it became sort of Iceland mystery. And so I usually, if you want to get inspired, you can look at completely different things and you will find something interesting. I usually look at engineering channels, like to get inspired, or pictures, or I never look to get inspiration for this. I'm not looking at art created by other people, because that's already created. So I usually look at nature, look at science, and I don't know, go crazy with things. For instance, this one, the Barnacle Empire, nasty. But this was procedural inside Mixer. So if you don't know if you don't have the models, you can still go into Mixer and play with it to learn it. And if you want to learn with models, you can use the sample models that are provided by Mixer in the sample mixes folder. And also, if you want to get absolutely great at smart materials and texturing, open each one of the smart materials and look at it.
Yeah,
and look
great,
at
guys.
it. Look at the layer. Look at this guy. Turn it off, and check what it does. It that's the time it requires, but you learn so fast with it, and the interface is so it's like there's nothing hidden. So
learn from those who have come before you.
Yes, absolutely.
No, yeah, I think that's great. It's the same reason with Unreal Engine, we apply the like sample projects and the content example files. Yeah, dig into those materials and dig into what exists so you can see how people built, and there are pieces you can learn from or take away from. If that setup isn't one-to-one for you, then you obviously have the liberty to change it. So and make it into your own or whatever works for your project. So.
Yeah, and since it's free, there's no excuse to say I can't learn. No. It's free. It's easy. It's fun. There's resources. There's tutorials. We can help you, guys.
Well, I think on that, we've shared some places where you can go get inspired and chat with other folks with the communities on Facebook and Discord. We can reshare those links. There's a number of tutorials, primarily on YouTube, right, for Quixel. And Are there other places you would recommend, other resources you want to encourage folks to visit as they're going on their Mixer journey?
I'll just come out and say it. I've been working on a write-up written tutorial in the vein of what I did for Quixel Suite back a couple years ago on Artstation. And I'm hoping to have that out sometime in the next month or two, so we can have a nice written, comprehensive how to get from A to B tutorial for people who are used to how the suite works. I wouldn't have felt confident announcing it on stream if I hadn't been mostly done with it already. So I just got to do the final bits of work to it, get it all written down, and then we should be good to go.
Well, now they'll hold you to it. So
yeah, I kind of have my feet on the fire now, don't I? I should have kept my mouth shut, but but as Juan so deftly mentioned earlier, deadlines are often the maker of heroes. So
there you go. So write-up coming soon. TM,
indeed.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to share, Juan?
Oh, I don't know. Just the final word. The Mixer is really easy to learn. You will really enjoy it once you drop a model there and drop some smart materials and start playing with it. It can really change your day. In my case, when I started 3 years ago, I was thinking. I was even sad. Like I can't be creative anymore. People are so they are so advanced in all this software, and I have 25 years of experience, and I felt a bit lost until I found Mixer and I started playing with it. It sort of sparked my creativity in ways that I can't even explain, and I'm thankful for that. Thankful to Quixel and to Teddy, which has been very encouraging all the time. If the CEO of the company at that time tells you a comment, you feel like $1 million. So it's a great community, guys. I really invite you because this community is full of love for art and people.
Love it. That is a wonderful note to end on. We want to again say thank you so much for everybody that came by the stream today. This will be available as a VOD on YouTube after the fact. So if there are parts you want to really dig into or see what Juan was up to, that will be available to you. We have our weekly survey. So if you have thoughts on today's stream or you'd like to give us feedback or future streams, suggestions, feel free to drop it in there. And as always, stay connected with all of us either in the forums, on social media, a number of our other official channels, and we will see you all next week. Thanks again to Jonathan and Juan for hanging out with us.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you, Amanda.
See y'all.